Hello and welcome. My name is Glenda Curl and I am a life coach, but most importantly, I am much more than that. I'm a woman. I am here to help other women, and I'm the type of person that is out there just to help other people move forward. I'm a mom, I'm a sister, I'm a confidant. I am here to be of help and use to others. Today, I wanted to talk to you about how we lose trust in ourselves. And what ends up happening is when we start to lose trust in ourselves and we don't believe in ourselves, it holds us back into what we want to do in our lives. It holds us back in our relationships. It holds us back in our careers, our businesses, and it can actually hurt relationships that we are currently in. And sometimes we lose trust in ourselves because what ends up happening is we've actually, in the beginning part, we never actually had trust in ourselves. So sometimes what I suggest to my clients is it's if they are feeling that they don't have that trust and that confidence within themselves, ask them to step back for a moment and look where that might have failed them. Where did that actually start to happen? Was it something that happened as a child? Maybe you want to go through and do a career of maybe becoming an artist. And maybe as a child, somebody turned around and they told you that your picture wasn't as pretty, or you lacked a lot of the skills, and what ended up happening is they made you start to think twice about what you did. Or maybe you were in a relationship, and what ended up happening is somebody criticized something that you did, and then what ended up happening from that criticism, you started thinking twice about your things that you're going to do. Or you were going to get into a business and somebody said to you, how can you get into that business? Because you really don't know what you're going to do. So how could you possibly get into that business? So what it tends to be is we lose trust in ourselves because it doesn't allow us to make that decision. That harshness that somebody has said something makes us think twice. And in order that happens, we start to doubt ourselves. And the worst thing that can happen is when we lose that self-doubt, when we go to move forward and we have to start doubting ourselves for maybe the decisions we made, whether it is going into a new business or whether it's jumping on and getting involved in an activity or working at doing such a thing. If somebody starts to lose doubt and starts to pull us back, that turns into what ends up happening. It actually hurts us, and in the long run, it will hold us back. So how can we start to help ourselves to move forward? First of all, like I said, stop for a moment. Recognize what ended up happening. Where did that self-doubt come from? Did it come as a child that somebody said something to you and made you think twice about yourself? Or could it possibly be that somebody somewhere in a relationship or something happened that you maybe lost and you questioned yourself because of a statement that was made? Or possibly, did somebody lie to you in some type of way and you actually started thinking twice about yourself and started looking at that? So the most important thing into being able to build your confidence within yourself and trust yourself is never minding the other relationships, but the number one relationship starts with you. And I believe this really full-heartedly, because when you don't have a strong relationship within yourself, your relationships outside are going to actually falter because they're not strong enough if you don't have that strength within yourself. So trusting yourself means building up your confidence, making it easier so that when you make a decision, you know those are the right decisions. And also, if you have to start questioning yourself and your decisions, it's going to increase your stress level because you're not going to believe in yourself. You're going to start faltering in the decision you're making because you're constantly going to go to yourself, is it the right choice that I made? Or is it the wrong choice? Should I be doing that or shouldn't I be doing that? So the other important factor is at times we need to sit back. And sometimes, even if you're making a decision on starting a business, getting into a relationship, whatever that may be, sometimes we need to do a little bit of background checks of what we're going into so that we feel more confident within ourselves, so that we know when you're picking what you're looking to go through, that you know that you're doing it. So building trust within ourselves happens to work, and works because it builds the ground that you stand on. So first of all, the number one thing to building your own is to be yourself. Being somebody else is not going to get you anywhere. So sometimes, when we get into a group and sometimes we don't feel confident within ourselves, we start to behave like somebody else. We start to behave as if we don't want to let people know what we have or what we don't have. And we start to pretend that we're something that we're not. See, what ends up happening is when we start to pretend, what ends up happening after a while, it doesn't follow through. Sooner or later, you're going to start questioning yourself, because sometime sooner or later you're going to trip up. So if you are not yourself, and other people can actually see that in you. So it's most important to just believe in who you are. Trust in who you are. Be that wonderful person that you are. And show that beautiful traits of how you are, how you became that person that you are. Learn that lack of self-confidence is because you're thinking that somebody else is perceiving you in a way that you don't even know. We perceive that people think of things about us, which probably 90% of the truth is not true. We think that somebody else is thinking of us in a different way or in a negative way. And actually, what ends up happening is we perceive something that is not even there. So it's so important to stop with our own insecurities and move forward with our own self-belief and learning to be it's okay. Not everybody is going to like us, and that's okay. It's okay by starting to work around and being out amongst people that we trust, people that we feel confident with. And the more we feel secure within ourselves among people that we are feeling comfortable in our comfort level in, then we can start heading out to other areas with other groups of people. So start to feel that comfort level within yourself. And don't worry about what others are thinking, because at the end of the day, you don't know what's going on in somebody else's head. Start to set reasonable goals for yourself. This is the tip number 2. When we start to set reasonable goals, like you're starting a project and you've given yourself, maybe it's a major project, and you've given yourself 2 weeks to get that accomplished. Well, maybe 2 weeks is really not setting reasonable goal. Maybe it would take a month to actually do it. So set a reasonable goal that maybe at the end of the week that you re-look at everything and you go back again and you look at what has been done in that time period. And then you can see whether that goal, even for the month, is actually a reasonable goal, or maybe you can push it back. But if we allow ourselves to set the reasonable goal, then we're not setting ourselves up for failure. Because when we set ourselves up for failure, then we worry about what the other guy is thinking about us. Because, oh my God, we've made a mistake. Oh, what if our business didn't work? Oh, what if what we told everybody was going to happen didn't happen? Because we worry what others are going to think, what others are going to say. But what I tell people, they're going to talk anyways. And you know what? They're probably too much in their own head of what's going on in their own life. So they're not going to be worried about what happened to you or what didn't happen to you. So instead of setting the small or the large goal, set the smaller goal and stop worrying about the other. Number 3, isn't it time to be kind to yourself? We're always so hard on ourselves. We set ourselves up for failure because we worry that we're not pretty enough, not good enough, not strong enough, maybe not smart enough. But maybe if we start to learn that we are enough, that maybe it's time that we allow ourselves the idea that if we do make a mistake, that it's okay. Failures are not failures. Failures are mistakes that we grow from, that we learn from, that we can become stronger from. So it's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to allow ourselves to learn from those mistakes. And it's more importantly okay to allow others to make mistakes. Because the one important thing is realizing when others make mistakes, then we can see our own mistakes out there as well. And then we can stop thinking all those negative thoughts. Because some of our worst enemies is ourselves. See, if we treated ourselves like our best friend, we wouldn't talk as mean to ourselves that we talk. We wouldn't talk to a friend in the manner that we talk to ourselves. It's true. I wouldn't tell a friend that if I look in the mirror and saying, Jesus, what happened to you today? I would look at a friend and say, instead of maybe you're not looking as comfortable or as bright today, I would look for something on them to say whatever looks good on them, or to say something in a positive manner to them. I certainly wouldn't tell them how terrible they looked, but we would tell that to ourselves. Why would we do that to ourselves? We have to learn that we have to like ourselves. We have to learn that we have to stop listening to that little devil in our head that keeps telling us that we're not good enough, we're not pretty enough, we're not smart enough, and that we can't do it. But yeah, we can. So start learning to treat yourself as if you're your own best friend and love yourself unconditionally, no matter what. And if you're not having a good day, it's okay. We all have days that we're not as perky and as lively as others. Maybe we need to have a day where we can just sit back and relax and let the day just go by. Those days are okay. We would tell that to somebody else, wouldn't we? If we were feeling very peckish that day, wouldn't we say to someone, oh, relax, take the day off? But to tell it to ourselves, no, we would continue to tell ourselves, shame on you for not getting your work done. Shame on you for not living up to the promise that you made. Be accountable to yourself and allowing yourself that if that day you need to take off because it's the right thing to do, then that's okay. Build on your strengths, number 4. We are not perfect at everything we do, but it's important that we learn what our strengths are and what our weaknesses are. See, in business, we can hire somebody to do what our weaknesses are. I always say in a business, you should learn everything that business needs. Because if somebody, you hire somebody, you need to know if they're doing a good job or not. Not necessarily that you have to do it well. It's just learning what it takes to do that business, that actual area in the business. But if you don't work well in doing that area of the business, don't do it. Hire somebody outside. But if you know the one important aspect is actually to build on the strength that you have. So if you're in a business and you're really good at writing, then do the writing for the business and hire outside help for the other. If you're strong with running and you're an organized person, then build on the organizational part of your business or of your life. If you know that you have, as a mom, if you have a weakness for your child because you're not a great disciplinarian, didn't allow your spouse to. Do the disciplinarian, but doesn't mean that you have to be the pushover. Learn that it's that time, that maybe it's certain things that you have to learn to build yourself up in certain areas. But as I said, we don't need to be perfect in every area of our life. But when we can, we build on our strengths and we make sure that if we can get help with our weaknesses, That's when we have a true win. Learn to spend time with yourself. We're sometimes so busy being busy that we don't allow ourselves to actually just be. Learning to just be is learning to understand with what is happening on inside of us. What is, whether we are having problems within ourselves because we don't sit back and listen to that inside voice. So many times in my life I had made mistakes, and the reason why the mistakes actually lasted much longer than what they needed to be, because I didn't listen to that inside voice. I didn't listen to that something wasn't feeling right inside of me. It was the times where something that, and I knew later on when that voice kept getting stronger and stronger. It's like I say, with the first time you stub your toe, the next time you break your leg. It wasn't until the legs that were broken is when I started to listen to that inside voice. And then it was when all of a sudden I had to get hit to learn that I had to make that change in my life. So start by being alone. If you can meditate, I know some people feel that it's a waste of time, but it's really a time when you allow your mind to actually just be, to actually have a rest, a break. Because we think we're so busy doing 20 things at one time. Multitasking actually breaks us down. It doesn't build us up. It actually tears apart our concentration. So when we allow ourselves time to meditate, and what I suggest for people who never meditated is if you go onto YouTube, you can Google a 5-minute meditation. That's all. Sit for 5 minutes. Be with yourself. Allow yourself to just breathe. And yes, you're not going to do it well the first time, and probably the second or third or fourth time. But if you can sit back for 5 minutes at a time each day, after a while, you will build and you will be able to find a time where actually your mind does settle down. You stop thinking of everything. You stop worrying about everything. The other thing that I do silently suggest is you build yourself a list. I call it a brain dump. Everything that's on your mind that you're worried about, write it all out. Take 10 minutes of your time and write down everything that you're worried about. What keeps you up at night before you fall asleep? What do you worry about in the morning before you're getting up? Whether it's your business, your kids, your house, your finances, your love life, it doesn't matter. Write it all out. Get it off your head. Because once you have that list, then you can come back to that list and break it down to what's the most important thing that you need to accomplish on that list. And if you can get 1 or 2 things done a day on that list, then you're off to the races. So spending time with yourselves allows your body to just relax a little bit. Start acknowledging what your thoughts are all about. If you're feeling anxious, this is the time when you can actually start to sit back and understand your anxiousness. Where's it coming from? When you start to write down, then you start to come through with that. Then you can learn one of the most important things of being more decisive. Learning that when you make a decision, stick with it. When you know that the decision feels right, even if it turns out not to be right, it's okay. We have to learn that it's okay to not be okay. Decisions that don't work out are the greatest ways of learning something. Made a lot of major mistakes throughout my life. I wouldn't have made it to this part of my life if everything weren't so tickety-boo. There's been a major amounts of my time where I've made huge mistakes that's cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars. And yes, you know what? I didn't have the abilities to lose that type of money. But I'll tell you something, I only made that mistake once. Those type of mistakes, I learned quite a lot from them. And I built myself even stronger for those mistakes. Whether it was mistakes as being a mom and doing things that I learned later on, going through a divorce, having my children at the beginning part of complaining to them about their father. Bad mistakes. Learning, never do that again. Because watching that face going from a happy face to a smiling face, I wouldn't want to do anything to hurt my children. But how would I know if I didn't make the mistake the first time? You live and learn. Making the mistake of maybe doing something and finding out that I didn't do enough research in the first place. Sometimes finding the mentor who has already done it so I can make sure that when I make those decisions, I can stick with them. As I said, it's okay to make the mistakes, because what the best thing to do is when you learn it, if you make the mistake, it's time to step back, look at it, think twice about why you made the mistake, what was the thing that you could have done better or done differently, and move forward in doing it again. Remember, it's time you give yourself permission. We're all human. We are allowed to make mistakes. We're allowed to be real. It's all about allowing ourselves to be who we are, to learn from and growing from those things. That's how we become a more better person than what we are. Learn to grow and be happy with your growth. Learn to be who you are and be proud of that. Because at the end of the day, we can only be ourselves. We are all special in our own ways, and we all have special gifts. It's time to learn your gifts and be grateful for that gift that you have been given. And you know what? Even those gifts can sometimes be hard realities in life. But remember, just be grateful for every moment that you can be grateful for what you have, for who you are, for the people around you, and most importantly, for the day that you have been given a new chance to begin again. Because yesterday was yesterday. Stop living in the past and start being where you are today. Grow for tomorrow. Learn that tomorrow you can always make things happen and make changes. But right now, it's time to be grateful for where you are. My name is Glenda Kroll, and if you have a hard time accepting who you are and being that wonderful person, if you can't look in the mirror and be grateful for that, I ask you to reach out and get a little helping hand. You know what? It's okay to ask for help. Remember, it's never too late to start learning. I'm continuously learning. It doesn't matter how old you are. Learn to live and love your life for who and what you have been given. Thank you so much. And remember, it all takes time, step by step. That's how we learn. Take care and have an awesome day. Give me a comment and tell me if anything resonated with you. Thank you so much, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon. Take care. Bye for now.